Nearwern, Naarm Dian, Wurrung Actanuk, Mockburian, Wurrung Bagaruk, Monometh, Mirabea, Nailinga, Wurrung Bake, Karangarabo, Bunjo the Eagle, Wa the Crow, Kimbani Ba, Dian Gilson. Welcome to Wurrung Country.
Live from Wurrung Country, welcome to Lance TV. Coming to you from the palatial new Camp Street Studios in Ballarat, get ready to laugh, think, love and sparkle. And now, it's time to turn that camp dial all the way up to fabulous. Here's your host, the multi-award-winning Lance-tastic, Lance de Boyle.
That's right, you're watching Lance TV. I am Lance de Boyle and we're coming to you live from Wurrung Country here in Ballarat, the resting place of Bunjil the Eagle. If you happen to be of the transgender community, welcome, we love you and happy Trans Month. Please pull up a drink and drink your nearest sofa and sit down with me here, or maybe here, or there. Oh, there I am. It's always in the last place you look, that's what they say. Hope your week has been good. Hope the weather's been fantastic. Poor old Spain. How's Spain getting washed away? That's something else. So to any of our Spanish friends who might be watching, our thoughts are with you and your families at this time. Talking about families, our extended family at TBH Studios currently have a wonderful exhibition on at the moment, which is called, Sophie, I can't remember what it's called. Is it We Are Here? Yeah, We Are Here. It is the work of trans and gender diverse people in the Ballarat area being shown down at Bridge Mall. The exhibition opening was tonight. Dr. Sophie went down with the camera and did some footage, but not for us. So if you would like to see some wonderful art done in the real true community spirit, which only TBH can bring us, then you might want to get yourself down there. So much love to Tony and Holly and the crew and everyone who exhibited. Hello Nate, who I believe you exhibited too. Nate was one of our work experience people earlier this year who is apparently quite creative with the drawing part. Talking about creative people, our special guest tonight is one of Ballarat's finest. They're still kind of wetting their feet in Lake Wendouree. They've really only been here 4 years, but they're still one of Ballarat's finest. So please be upstanding. Charge your glasses and charge your phone. Be upstanding for the one, the only, Deb Mitchell.
Hey!
Darling!
Hello!
Mwah, mwah. Oh, you look gorgeous. I love that top.
Thank you.
What colour would you call that?
Dusty pink?
Dusty pink it is. Please, pull up a seat. Did you find the place all right?
I did, thank you very much.
Ah, fantastic.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. Now, Deb Mitchell, you are a creator here in Ballarat. Give us 50 words or less.
I work with polymer clay. I make some creepy things as well as some cute things, little figures.
Oh, and we're going to find out all about that as we move through the show, I bet. But thank you so much for being on the show, which I've got to say, I normally say that earlier to our guests, and it was just as the opening sequence was starting, I suddenly went, oh, Deb, thanks for being on the show. So
You're more than welcome.
Well, you know, it does take a bit of time to juggle around your diary to be on the show and stuff, so thank you very much. Our first segment is coming up, and that's called Lance TV's Corner. This week, Dr. Sophie has whisked us away down to Naarm, down to, I want to say Flemington. No, it's near Flemington. No, it's next door. Kensington. There we go. Was it the showgrounds, Soph? No, it wasn't the showgrounds. But down to Kensington, where there was a great to-do with zines. In fact, it was a great to-do with Hallozeen. So we're going to see that footage, and when we come back, we're going to start the interview with Deb Mitchell right after this.
Hallozeen was a Halloween comics launch that we ran at Brunswick Art Space, and we had such a good time we just wanted to do it again. So I made it into a thing that I wanted personally, to make Halloweeny comics. It was like an annual deadline. It started as about 5 friends also joined that challenge. Yeah, it's just grown since then. We had the gallery for a little while, and then the gallery shut down and we had a smaller venue. And then we had Sticky Institute, started hosting us at their little shop, and then helping us run it in even larger venues. I feel like people have a real fondness for what they think Halloween is, and I think that fondness really comes across in their art. So you'll have people who have a completely different media practice the rest of the year, and then when you ask them to do something Halloweeny, yeah, because we don't have that much of a concrete definition of Halloween in Australia, I feel like we get a good range of what people think Halloween is. It's like fantasy, it's like nostalgia, it's like their hopes and fears. It's somewhere in between. So my ultimate goal is really just to make like Becky Cloonan's By Chance or Providence in my own hand. So whenever I see people do work that's similar to Becky Cloonan's, I feel like that's the archetype that I'm always thinking of. So I think a lot of the time it's movie reviews, so people reflect on their favourite horror movies. And then if they go a bit deeper than that, they'll go into their nostalgia about which horror movies either they grew up with or mean the most to them, or they revisit and rewatch these horror movies to see how they've changed now that they've lived their lives a little bit longer. I think there was What We're Watching is a recurring zine that I think Liz puts together, possibly the volunteers of Sticky. And I think we've seen mixtape zines that have a nice little QR code in the back, or the Spotify code, so you can get people's musical tastes out of that. Types of cryptids, types of witches, types of cats, types of jack-o'-lanterns you can make, types of lollies. Yeah, I love whenever it's like a factual dive. I personally go into like historical angles of like just researching things and logging things down, because my memory is less good than the process of recording it in zines. Yeah, I love whenever it's illustration based. Like, given that Hallozeen started with comics and drawing community, it's thrilling to me to find people who go in with an illustration angle and they make something extremely beautiful. It was just people that I knew through Squishface Studio, so it was comic artists, and there was people who kind of came to the studio's social drawing night, so it was still like comics and drawing. And then once it was with Sticky, yeah, it just kept growing because people brought their own friends and their own friend groups. And then when we were at the shop under Flinders Street, it was the tiny Sticky Institute shop. Over lockdown, Sticky still had their arts grants, because they apply for their arts grants years in advance. And part of the condition for their arts grant was to spend it on a real event, which over lockdown you can't do. Just so happened that it was far enough away from their usual Festival of the Photocopier that they were presented with, do you want to run Festival of the Photocopier at a bizarre time in the year, or make it a completely different festival, and if they would be okay to run Hallozeen. So Sticky Institute's usual festivals are huge. They're like 100 tablers a day plus, and sometimes they are 2 days of a weekend. So I'm anticipating that might be the case with Hallozeen one day. So with Kensington Town Hall, the bonus is that we want to allow our wheelchair-using zine maker friends to have a really smooth time going room to room. I think it's closer to a less busy public transport thing. So all of these tick boxes that we just had to find something that hits within the city of Melbourne. And Kensington Town Hall fits the bill, and their floor plan looks amazing. I think in the immediate fallout of Hallozeen, a lot of the artists from this year, there's going to be 75 tablers, are going to be stocking at Sticky. So if you head to Sticky Institute in the city at 510 Elizabeth Street, you'll be able to see a lot of things on the shelves from this year's Hallozeen. And if you go to the Instagram for Hallozeen, you'll see a lot of the artists tagged, and maybe you can find their online stores or get in touch with them if you like their work. So far as going for next year, I think make some zines and talk to Sticky about stocking them, or just go to Sticky and find other things to swap with, because I think making friends through zines is like such a core step of making zines. It's like you have to find the community that like builds your practice. And yeah, it's such a social art form. Yeah, I think that's the tip.
Hello, Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
There you go. I noticed that the lovely Kath Larson's in the thread. How fitting that Deb is being interviewed just after Halloween, as she loves horror movies.
Absolutely. Kathy knows me.
Wow. We were talking before the show too about Trilogy of Terror.
Oh, God, yes. Yes, I remember that.
For those of you who are watching on Facebook, if you know the movie Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black, drop it in the thread. Give us a skull. Put a skull or something spooky in the thread to let us know you watched it.
Yeah. I remember watching it with my mum many years ago, and I'm sitting on the couch with the corner of the pillow, and Mum's sitting there like that, chewing her finger off, and all I can remember is that under the like, because she locks herself in the bathroom at one point. That's right, she does too.
And he's got the little knife
under the door. Yeah, and then she blows him up in the microwave, but he still comes out. Remember?
That's right, she kills him in the oven. And it's like great, and she opens it and the big puff of smoke comes out on her.
Yep.
And then at the end, she's sitting by the door
where she's sitting
with the knife. With those pointy teeth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That gave me nightmares, that picture.
Well, I remember the second story. There was 3 stories. That's why it's called Trilogy of Terror. That was the third story. That was the one that stuck with the whole world.
I cannot remember the other ones.
The second story was that, again, it was all Karen Black in the 3 stories. One of the other stories was that the character she played had DIDs, so multiple personality disorder of some sort. And that was kind of weird and wonderful. But for the life of me, I cannot remember off the top of my head the third one.
I'm going to have to look it up.
I'll go, oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm going to have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Give myself nightmares again.
We should have a Trilogy of Terror party. Yeah, come on, it's a blockbuster. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it'd be on Netflix or something?
Oh, it'd have to be.
We could write to them, please put Trilogy of Terror up.
It'd have to be there somewhere, yeah.
There needs to be a bad horror Netflix type of channel.
All you have to do is look how old they are. You'll look at ones that, like my biggest one that I...
Welcome back, you're watching Lance TV. I'm Lance Boyle. Who are you?
I'm Deb Mitchell.
There you go. I tell you one thing I want to do before we go much further.
Okay.
Wandering off over here. I just need to do this. This is your camera here, Deb.
Okay.
And if by any chance that you want to make a point to the audience, you've got that kind of there now, so you can sort of find at least where the lens is near.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic. Now we've got the house in order. Oh, hello to Cheryl too. Cheryl, the reason why I had to do that was because Cheryl wasn't here to do it. Cheryl's got a gammy knee at the moment, so it's not on the floor. Dr. Sophie and I are sending much love to you, and it was almost the first question that Deb asked when she came in going, is Cheryl here? So sadly, no, not tonight.
Get better, Cheryl.
But much love to you and your gammy knee, you gammy creature. Yes. Deb, we are about to start the interview process. Are you ready?
I am.
That's consent. Here we go. Deb Mitchell, where were you born?
I was born in Melbourne, in Carlton, and I was born in 1966, and I was born to a mother who was from New Zealand and was over here. She was single, came over on a working holiday, gave birth to me, and then went home.
Oh, wow.
So I'm adopted, but she was a sneaky lady. While she was still in the hospital, she snuck into the nursery because back then the babies didn't stay with the mothers. She picked me up. So I always feel like she initiated that maternal bond that we've still got today. And yeah, then she went home, and then I got sick and I was there for 6 weeks and nearly died, had pneumonia. But then I went home to Mum and Dad, who raised me.
Wow.
And we grew up in North Altona.
That's not a bad side of town.
It's not too bad. It was not great growing up because we had the Altona Beach nearby, which is not what it is today. It wasn't really like that. No, no. It was a stinky beach. and I lived near PRA Refinery and Carbon Black.
What's PR? What do those two companies do?
The refinery is to do with oil and petrol and all the rest of it, and Carbon Black is actual carbon, where they make carbon. So we constantly had carbon coming through our house, like, you know, on windowsills with the southerly change.
Yeah.
So we'd get the carbon from Carbon Black and we'd get the stinky smell from Altona Beach. So, yeah. But no, grew up there. And then I suppose later on in life I got married and moved away as quick as I could.
You're preempting the interview.
I'm jumping.
No. Leading into the show tonight, we did have a bit of a chat. I'm interested to know, what's your first memory of being creative?
Probably when I was a kid and I was always drawing, colouring in. I remember, you know, with the family going to the grandparents' house in Nuttawanning for Christmas Day, and I'd always have colouring books and pencils in tow. So that's probably my first memory, yeah. Yeah,
and when you were 5, you were put into calisthenics.
Calisthenics, yeah.
What is calisthenics?
Calisthenics is kind of like a cross between exercise and dance, and you, as a group, do it on stage once a year, and you get medals throughout the year for it, and you dress up in costume and everything. And I was always the shortest and the smallest one, so I was always at the front of the stage. And at Williamstown Town Hall, where we used to do it, the stage is on a bit of an angle.
Oh, the raped stage.
And I always used to feel like I was going to fall off the end. But no, I did calisthenics from 5 till I was 10, and then Mum decided to take us to a dancing night, social night sort of thing, one night, and I said to Mum, that's it, I'm done with calisthenics. This is what I want to do. Yeah. And I started dancing.
Okay, we will get to that a little bit later. But you went to high school, which most of us did, but you went to high school and that's where you went, oh, look, I can do drama and I can do art.
Drama and art were my best subjects at high school. Everything else was not very good at all. Didn't do year 12, repeated year 10. Yeah, just sort of slogged my way through high school as best I could. But yeah, art was my saving grace. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And high school drama, you had a co-lead role somewhere?
There was a play called The Shifting Heart that we put on, and there was only like 5 or 6 of us in the play, and it was a drama, and I had one of the main roles, and it was about 2 families living side by side, one of them European Italian or something like that, and it was set in the 50s or 60s from memory, and I was the Aussie ochre mum next door sort of thing. Yeah, did that. We also did what's it called, a musical where are they going to wash that man right out of my hair?
Oh, South Pacific.
That's it, yeah, we did South Pacific.
Not that I know anything about show tunes.
We did that, yeah, and a couple of others that I can't remember the names of them. Yeah, that's the one.
We'll call you.
That's the one, yeah.
I'm there, I'm all about it now. It's like, yeah, well, the weather's getting better. I think it's going to be 28 on Wednesday, but I digress.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Also in those years too, you found polymer clay then. You started making jewellery.
I did. I remember making jewellery in my dad's garage, making it out of pasta, like we all do as kids. But I actually got the drill out and I was doing it really, I always sort of try to do it better, bigger and better. And then I discovered polymer clay and started making little gumnut babies. Oh. Yeah, so I'd be foraging around the yard getting the gum nuts from the ground, but then I'd make the little baby to sit in the gum nut and made earrings out of it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Forgotten about that.
That's really creative.
Yeah.
I love the way that you're sort of going, oh, yeah, you're having all these flashbacks.
I am.
about your early years in creativity.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about those, and I sold a lot of those actually, yeah, and that was when I was still in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it a line that you might bring back now you've remembered it? No.
Maybe. Maybe.
There you go. So that was all good and well. Life took over. In fact, your father went, you know what, this arty crafty stuff's all good and well, but you need to earn a quid.
Yeah, exactly. So I always wanted to go to the Victorian College of the Arts, but it was a no-go thing. Once I finished school and then I turned 18, I did a job like in sales in a shop, and then Dad helped me get a job at Telecom. And it was like, okay, Deb's taken care of. She's got a job in Telecom. She'll be right for life now. If only they knew. So I spent the next 10 years working at Telecom.
What did you do at Telecom? Because that was the big thing in Australia. I think,
Wasn't
Telecom kind of Australia's first kind of, this is our telephone line?
Yeah, they were. I did various things just in admin. I started in data entry with a room full of women everywhere.
And for those of you who are not old enough, what is key punch operation and what is
data entry? Is basically we have a little booklet beside us, keypad over here, screen in front, and you're just constantly turning pages doing this. That's it.
Punching in numbers.
That's it.
For what purpose?
Entering, I think it was customers' details of some sort of codes that were put onto customers, and we had to put the codes into the system to generate the bills, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
It was along those, so I did that for...
So STD numbers and...
Oh, yeah.
Remember STD?
I do. I remember too, that back then you could look up a phone number in a phone book, but if you had the phone number of somebody, you couldn't say who it was, but we could do that at work. We could go into the system and put a phone number in, and it'd bring up whose phone number it is.
Wow.
So, yeah, we used to use that a lot, but we weren't supposed to.
No, well, and anything that's said here on Learns to It, no.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Wow. So you did that for a while?
You did that for a while, then moved into admin.
What sort of environment was that like?
With the data entry, it was really tough because I was 18. I was fresh out of high school, basically, and it felt like high school because you've got a room full of what they call pools, and they were big circles of just women, all women. You'd have a supervisor in the centre and all the women around doing the data entry, and people would go on breaks at different times and we'd stay in the room, but it was very catty. It was just like high school, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it, couldn't wait to get out of there, yeah. So when I moved into general admin, it was like, yes, I'm away from all that now.
Right, so that was kind of general admin, was more sort of filing and doing kind of more office-based tasks? Yeah, and doing reports and all sorts of bits and pieces. So, yeah, just generally doing that. Yeah. Amazing. During that time too, you crossed paths with a man who was... I did. Who went on to become your ex-husband. Yes. Yes, it's where I met my ex-husband. He worked there as well, and we got to be friends. I was dating somebody else when we first met, so he didn't do anything. We just stayed friends for a couple of years, and we used to have our breaks together playing backgammon all the time. Oh, yeah. And what's backgammon? Is that with the board game? No, with the round tiles. I couldn't even remember how to play it properly now. Board where it's got the long triangles either side, and you move them around. You've got dice, and you move them around, and if he gets you, like if you've only got one, he can take you off the board. Yeah, if you jump them and then... Yeah, that's right. I'd have to look up how to play it. Yeah, well, I used to play euchre too, and it's like, I don't remember. Wow. Yeah. So you were seeing someone else, and he kind of went, oh, we'll just be friends. Yeah, and then I broke up with that other person, and then we started dating, and we were together for nearly 4 years when we got married. Oh, wow. So it wasn't a rush job or anything? Yeah, it was. well, 4 years. Oh, true, yeah. I know what you mean, considering there's probably a lot of viewers here who, you know, have a weekend fling, and then it's the U-Haul and cat, and here we are. Yeah, no, it was nothing like that, no, yeah. So we got married in 91. Wow. Yeah, and then went on to have 2 Billy Lids. Ah, look at you. At this point, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to find out more about Deb Mitchell right after this. Facebook. Oh, I've lost it now. I was going to read out something from Kath Larson. Kath said, Apparently that voodoo doll prop was the most expensive film prop ever sold.
Oh, really?
So they sold it, yeah, somebody in the world's got it.
Oh, wow.
The Zuni doll, there we go.
The Zuni doll.
Kat's been doing some...
been doing research,
bit of Googling on our behalf. Zuni witch doctor doll. Kat, put it in the thread for us. What were the other two stories for Trilogy of Terror, please?
Oh, yes, please.
I'd love to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know how we said, like, put the spooky things? It's like, yeah, Kat's got a ghost, a skull, a pumpkin, and I think it's a bat.
Okay.
It's vaguely purple and it's small and it's on a black background, so I can't really, can't really see that. But yeah. What other horror movies have you enjoyed along the way? What's another one of your favourites?
I haven't seen it in many years, but I did see it a lot when I was younger. American Werewolf in London.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that at all.
It's quite funny.
Is it? Who was
Scared the crap out of me. I can't remember his name. I don't know if he's ever come to anything after that, but it was quite funny. Trying to remember. I think that was in the 80s.
Oh, Werewolves of London, was that in there?
Couldn't tell you. Can't remember. But nowadays, like I like the It movies, of course. With
It?
Yeah. You haven't seen It?
No.
No. Stephen King.
Ah, well, there is somebody who's built a whole dynasty.
He's my favourite author.
He's a really
read
odd
most of
being,
everything he's done. Yep.
It's quite odd.
Odd but cool.
Yeah, right.
The It movies.
It's the Pennywise in the
That's right.
in the gutter, like, come play.
Yeah.
Which was done originally by Tim Curry.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. The Annabelle films. Annabelle's a doll.
Okay.
A doll that stands about yay high.
That's just freaked me out just by itself. Yeah, go on.
There's a whole series of films built around her, and I think they're the Conjuring films that started with Annabelle.
Ah. You're watching Lance TV. I am Lance Boyle, and you're still Deb Mitchell.
I am.
There you go. Deb, where we left off, you were saying that you'd met your ex-husband while working at, slogging it out at Telecom as it was known then, for 10 years. You ended up having 2 wonderful children. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yep.
Given, and if we can go down this road, given that you were saying in the first part of the interview that about being adopted, what was it like for you to have someone from your own bloodline that kind of came from you?
I get asked this quite a bit. My first born a son, so it didn't quite hit me, but my second born a daughter, and because it was a daughter, as she came out, my very first thought was of my adoption, and it was like, how could you give this away? And that's that resentment that I grew up with, because I didn't know what happened, why I was given away. I just know that I was. So that resentment sits with you. And even though at the time my daughter was born, I know the history and I know what happened, why I was adopted, why I was given up. It didn't matter. It was the fact that I'd had a girl, and that was me. So I put myself in my mother's shoes, and it was basically, how could you? Because I could never. So that was tough. That was some hard times after that happened because of it, yeah.
A lot of self-reflection?
Yeah. I actually started to suffer from depression. And after getting into some therapy, because they didn't know why, they just put it down to postnatal depression, but it was all about my adoption. And it was some things that I had to resolve. I had to take that resentment and do something with it instead of just letting it sit and fester. So I went to therapy and also went to a lot of group sessions. There's a wonderful place, I don't know if they're still around, they were called Vanish, and they're in Carlton, and they were a state-run place where they did a lot of group therapy, so I went to them quite a bit and they helped me a lot.
And that was that kind of in a peer group situation?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I heard some absolute horror stories, real horror stories, because back in 1984, well, pre-1984, you couldn't get any information at all. In 1984, the laws changed and you could basically get identifying information. You could walk up to someone's front door, knock, 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 hi, I'm your son or daughter, without letting them know. And a lot of people did do that. They just rocked up at people's homes. Even mothers did that, would rock up and the child wouldn't know that they were adopted. So many people didn't know. I remember the first time I got a passport, I had to have an interview at the old GPO in Melbourne, and the guy I was sitting across from, because I never had a full birth certificate, I only ever had an extract. And he knew just from that I was adopted, and he kept looking at it, looking at me, looking at it, looking at me. I said, it's okay, I know I'm adopted. And he went, oh, thank God. He had an 80-year-old woman in there once, didn't know.
Oh, wow.
And he was not allowed to tell her.
Yeah.
So there are some real horror stories out there.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, have you caught up with your birth mother?
I have. When I was 18 is when the laws changed. And I asked my mother then what she would think if I wanted to go and find them. We were watching, remember Ray Martin did the midday show?
Yeah.
We were watching that, and he kind of celebrated the law change by having a mother and daughter meet on the show. And we were watching it, and I had the biggest lump in my throat I've ever had in my life. And we got through the show and I asked Mum, and Mum said, well, I would help you, but your father would disown you. Oh, okay.
Wow, that's a really tough thing to say.
It is a tough thing to say.
Who's adopted.
It was also a lie. I found out like 30 years later. It was actually the other way around.
Oh, wow.
But with her saying that, I left it and thought, okay, I'm not going to do it. 3 years later, when I was 21, my mum and dad got a letter from the hospital, the Royal Women's in Carlton, from the social worker stating that my birth mother was there and wanted to make contact.
Oh, so it was meant to be.
Yeah. So my birth mother spent 2 years looking for me, going through all the proper things, like she's in another country, she's in New Zealand, so she had to go through social workers and everything.
All these sort of like hurdles and channels.
Yeah, all this bureaucratic paperwork she had to do and everything. So she did all that and she planned a trip to come and look for me. In the meantime, they'd actually found me, so the trip was to meet me. So when we got the letter, Mum and Dad didn't have to show it to me, but they did. And I knew straight away, yeah, I'm doing this. But I had to think about Mum and Dad, especially Dad, because I thought Dad was, the hiccup. But it all turned out all right, and we had 3 weeks for me to make the decision. Made the decision. She came over, and we met in front of the fairy tree at the Botanical Gardens in Melbourne.
Nice. Yeah.
Social worker was there, and Mum came. We met up with the social worker, and she took Mum up to the cafe. I went down the path and saw this image sitting on the seat, and that's where we met, and that was a very long time ago.
Yeah. What was it like? Do you recall what it was like?
Oh yeah, I'll never forget it.
Looking into the eyes of your biological mother?
I'll never forget it. Once Mum and Annette, the social worker, headed away, I was by myself walking down the path and I could see her in the distance, and all I remember thinking is 1 foot in front of the other. 1 foot in front of the other, because the nerves and the adrenaline was pumping. We get down there and Annette came down, that's right, she followed me down. And when I got to Marsh, which is my mother's name, we just hugged straight away. Annette said, well, I don't need to introduce you two, you're going to be fine. So she toddled off to Mum. Everything sort of came together because I'm fortunate in the fact that my mother, once she had me, she went home and married my father. So I've got a full-blooded family.
Yeah, right.
And I'm very lucky that way. So she had photos of the family there, and she had photos of 2 sisters and my father and cousins and aunts and uncles and the whole shebang. And I'd taken photos of when I was a baby for her as well. We made up these little albums, swapped them over, and just sat there in 2 hours, went like that. And then we went up to meet Mum. And she was more nervous about meeting Mum than meeting me, because back when I was born, parents were told the same thing when they adopted. Don't worry, the parents are never ever going to come to you. They're not allowed to, it's against the law. Laws change. So yeah, that was there. And then that was in the September of 87, I think it was. Yeah, 87. And then the April of 88, I went over to New Zealand by myself and met everybody else. And I always remember getting off the plane and there was just people everywhere and this little head poked out with a bunch of daffodils, and it was my sister. Yeah, so it's a pretty amazing story.
It is, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
What a journey. And are you still in contact with that family?
Yeah, everybody except for one of my sisters who we lost to cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 8 years ago. So, yeah, she battled it for quite some time. But I've been back over to New Zealand, I don't know how many times. We've been back and forth quite a bit, yeah. And I always remember that when my son was over there, I think it was for the funeral for my sister, and this is my eldest, and he sort of, we were in one part of the town, and he said, "Mum, it feels like home." Oh, and I was like, oh, it just warms my heart.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that all happened?
Yeah, that all happened.
Tick.
Yeah.
You then went through, your marriage came to an end. There was a separation there. You and the kids left that house and went back to your parents' place in Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
Started again all over from scratch.
Pretty much.
Did you back?
Yeah, did my back. When I first separated, did a couple of different jobs. I was working at Windy Hill in Essendon, but going from Altona North to there, I had to change, so I ended up working in a place in Werribee at a pokies place, doing shift work. Kids were still in primary school, moving into high school and everything. Life went on, and then in 2015 I was working in aged care. Very busy job. I was doing afternoon shifts and looking at doing night shift, but I was doing day and afternoon. Really hectic life, busy, busy, busy. Then my back went and everything just stopped.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You found yourself at home, twiddling your thumbs.
With the walls starting
walk,
to...
Can't work. And you rediscovered polymer clay.
I did. I was sitting there one day and I thought, I can't live like this. I'm bored. The walls are closing in on me. I'm going to go nuts. So I thought, I used to make jewellery. I wonder if I've still got that clay. So I got the old clay out and reconditioned it. And yeah, so it's been going strong since then.
2019, you and the polymer clay moved to Ballarat. But we're going to learn more about that in a little minute, because we do need to go for a short break. And when we come back, we will find out what Deb Mitchell does with polymer clay right after this. Follow you.
Yeah.
I will follow you wherever you go, and that's where we went. Hello, Facebook. Deb and I are just discussing. That wasn't in our agreed. that last section was definitely not in our
plan.
Agreed.
What plan?
What plan? It's all a mud map. Kath Larson has popped the links to Trilogy of Terror.
Oh, cool.
But that doesn't. I can't access those links from my phone, and it doesn't tell me what the third story was. But anyway, Kathy Larson, you were at You were at the Telstra building in Glenferrie.
Oh, were you?
Wow. No, you were.
Me?
Apparently.
No, I was in the city.
Kath Larson was peering in through a window watching you way back then. Kath Larson, as another adoptee, I felt guilty for having been born and perhaps ruining my mother's life. That's really sad, Kath. My love to you.
Same, Kathy.
Kathy, wow, your birth mother. Yeah. And I guess that's a thing too. I can only imagine that not every adoptee or mother who's given up their child went to search for each other either. So there's probably a lot of unfinished stories out there.
Oh, heaps. And I'm not the only person that has this story, like of
Excuse me.
New Zealand and my parents marrying each other. I've heard that from other people as well. Same story. So
Different parents.
Different
Same
parents.
story, different parents.
When Marsha's parents passed away without knowing about me, but I got to meet my grandmother on my father's side.
Oh, wow.
And my son got to meet her when he was about 4.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And different things come up, and it brings up the old argument of nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Things that came up, like my grandmother was a dancer.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a singer as well.
Things that play in the genes, yes.
I remember the first time I went over there, and I still am a big fan of David Bowie. And I walked into my next sister down into her bedroom. She had David Bowie posters everywhere.
Yeah.
And the younger sister, Chrissy, was like looking in a mirror.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. I went back on TV.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We do have liftoff. You're watching Lance TV. I am Lance Boyle. If you've tuned in to watch Bent TV, don't wait too much longer. We're about 20 minutes away, but we are in the last part of the 3-part interview with the lovely Deb Mitchell. How you going so far?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Easy peasy?
Easy peasy.
Oh, good. Now, 2015, did you back at work? We've already covered that bit. Now, to get yourself through things, you did begin also in 2016. You did the jewellery, but you also started making little wee dragons.
I did, yeah. I was trying to find something different to make that nobody else had, and I just came up with dragons because I've always had an affinity with fantasy, dragons, witches, fairies, that sort of stuff.
David Bowie labyrinth.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I started making little dragons, and I moved on to fairies and did a couple of markets here and there, but struggled with those because of my back. So yeah, basically just made them and sold them online.
And elves?
And elves, my elf dolls, yes, my elf dolls. Will I bring those up yet or not yet?
Wow. Let's talk about the miniatures in Ballarat.
Oh, okay. That's the other thing I do, is I've got doll houses and I do miniatures, and I meet once a month.
So when you say miniatures schnauzers, what miniature?
They're called room boxes, and it's basically, instead of having a massive big doll house, you just build a room. So you build the walls, the floor, and what's in it. So I've got rooms at home. I've got a baby's nursery that lights up. I've got another wedding scene in a forest. I've got the ladies laugh at me for this because they all did flowers and pretties, and I did a serial killer lair.
Nice.
And the ladies at Ballarat I meet with once a month. We used to meet at the local Anglican church. Priest came in one day, and I had my serial killer lair there, right? And he was a youngish guy. I'd say he was in his late 30s, and he looked at it and he said, "You need blood paint."
Nice.
What? Okay.
There's somebody who was down with the kids.
Oh, yeah, he was brilliant. He told me to go to the shop Guff near the police station in town, and I got this paint that looks like real blood, and it keeps the shine to it. So I bought it and went home and just went, put it everywhere. It looks awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, more recent work, you've brought in some pieces.
I have.
Introduce us to them one by one.
Okie dokies. These are some of my elf dolls.
Straight down your camera down there.
Okay. This one here, she's on her way to bingo. I can't remember her name because I have named them, but I've got it written on cards because I've got so many of them.
That's amazing.
They're all different, yeah. They're all one of a kind.
Oh my gosh, even the details on the toes, like
the feet.
The little white bits on your fingers are actually on these toes.
And this one here, he sort of reminds me a bit like he's from New Orleans, like a Papa Legra type character. He's one of my favourites.
Has he got face tattoos?
Yeah, he has. Nice. Yeah, he's called Montgomery.
That's amazing.
He's got earrings and everything. The polymer clay is the hands...
Is it a wire base?
Yeah, the hands, feet and heads are polymer clay.
Yeah.
And the armature, which is the skeleton, is wire, and then filled out with foil and then padding and then the fabrics. Because I don't actually make clothes, I just use strips of fabric.
Wow, that's how we all live, really, isn't it? That's all I'm wearing at the moment is just strips of fabric. Are they freestanding?
They are eventually.
Oh, there she is.
There she goes.
Oh, I feel so she's going to do a backflip though.
Ah, she'll be
That's
fine.
amazing. How long does it take you to knock out one of these?
Well, this one here I'm moving into a bigger size, which I kind of like. I really like doing it. He's not finished yet, but he's getting there. To build one like that, because of baking time and then drying time with the paint and everything, probably takes about a week.
So you have to pop it in the oven?
Yes.
Oh, how very trilogy of terror of you.
Oh my God, it is too. I didn't think of that.
It's the gift that keeps giving.
When I'm making the armature is when I do the polymer clay bits, and so when I put it in the oven, use this. Oh, lay down.
Lay down, lay down. Yeah, go.
When I put it in the oven, they're in pieces. So I just have a tray of feet and hands and heads.
Body parts
yes,
in the oven.
Body parts. But this fella here, he's not finished yet.
Is this most recent?
Yeah, he's a bigger one.
And some tattoos on his face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it took me 4 years to come up with a design that was mine.
And a bag full of fly agaric.
Yeah, they're popular at the moment, aren't they?
It's all in preparation, kids. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And like was this kind of, she was first, he was second, and this is third?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it would have been, yeah. I was sort of, with these two, I was making a number of them at the same time. And they're all different, they're all one of a kind. So everyone I look at the face and I think, oh yeah, this would suit you, or I'll do this, do that,
and
whatever.
This is your side hustle now, this is what you
do?
This is, oh.
That's all right, it's not broken, it's just I haven't finished him yet.
That's what I say to all the boys. I haven't finished with you yet. That's amazing though, just the detail within that. And a little, oh look, there's a little
That's his
swag.
little, yep, his little swag.
Amazing. Oh, he's...
Yeah, he might stand up with a bit of help.
Yeah, it's not going to be on there.
There he goes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it took me 4 years to come up.
Because then you can't, they're not in shop.
Took me 4 years to come up with my own design, and once I did, I was working on them in Ballarat, and where we operated, we were near a gallery that's there, and the lady from the gallery offered to have them in there, and I had them in there for 12 months. They have a little shop at the front of the gallery, and I sold quite a number of them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's what you do for a job now.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think of it as a job though. It's just something I do.
Amazing.
And,
I tell you what, something that we do is give people things at the end of the interview, because we need to wrap up.
Oh my God, are we already?
So from me to you, here's this wonderful bag from Tiny Pride.
Yay.
That you can go and do your shopping in, or
Thank
put
you.
in a ream of printing paper or something. And this photo of me that says, I was on Let's TV.
Yay!
So that's for you. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
I've got something for you too.
Oh my gosh, well I need cream.
All right, very quickly, we had our first Pride market this year.
Yes.
And I want you to choose one of these. They sold really well. They're called happiness worms.
Oh, really?
Yep, and you just have him in a little bag and he shares his happiness. So if you're feeling low or blue, you can give him a cuddle and he'll make you feel better. And there's a little bag for you.
Little happy alien face.
There you go.
Oh, and this is really hard. Is that the polymer
That's
clay?
the clay, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
You're
Deb.
welcome.
That's really lovely.
My pleasure.
I call him Arrow. I don't know why, but Arrow. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. This is great. I love getting gifts. See, I've been giving them out for years, but anyway. Thank you so much.
No worries.
We need to go for a short break, and when we come back, we will be in the home stretch of Lance TV for this episode right after this. That was our interview with Deb Mitchell. If you'd like to catch up with Deb, you can find her on Instagram at Clay Creations by Deb. Lance TV will be back right after this. So what are they called again?
Happiness worms.
Happiness worms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. The little face on it's like it's really joyous.
And what I did, I made some. I made heaps of them, and I did them in the Pride colours as well.
Let's have a look at these.
And these are the ones I've got left.
Look at this.
Yep, that's the last trans one I've got.
Isn't that how you do it? Better against the black background. So that's a little trans happiness.
Yep. I did rainbow ones, of course, and they all sold out.
Amazing.
And I'm still selling them now. You can swap him over if you want to swap him over.
Wouldn't this be funny if they all came to laugh and went,
Now I want to take them away and make a little knife for them.
yeah, right. I'll make you happy. Sorry.
No.
It's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So they're right away from your horror theme. There's a gold one there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That was just something little. I wanted something that was simple, small and cheap, because like when I do make horror figures that are about this big and they're hundreds of dollars. So I wanted something small and just to hand out. And yeah, sold heaps of them at the Pride Market, which is awesome.
Which I think is going to be on again next July as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I'll have some more stuff for that too.
Yeah, that was great. It was great to see so many, such a cross section of our community there.
It was, yeah.
Like people that you don't normally see at got coffees or
exactly.
Or out and about. It's kind of like,
and
wow,
I think
look at this.
it'll be bigger next year. I think it'll be bigger. Yeah.
And there were heaps of people come up from Melbourne. People seem to come from everywhere for it.
Yeah.
It's great. Good on you, Saz and City of Ballarat.
Yay, Saz. Yeah. Did a great job. It was great. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it. What else are we going to talk about, Deb?
I don't know.
Still got about a minute left.
Have we? Do a little dance?
Did it. Hey. Perfect. That went right down there. That's going to be the moment. It's going to go. It is a short on YouTube. Yeah. Well, good on you. Surprise, surprise. You're watching Lance TV and it's time for All Over the Shop. It starts today at the NGV at the Ian Potter Centre, the Dogs and Cats exhibition that goes through to the 20th of July 2025. Tomorrow, Ballarat Local Produce Swap, Ballarat Community Garden, that's at the corner of Queen Street and Diet Parade here in Ballarat. The 4th, Open Closet, a free non-gendered recycling clothing boutique at Thorn Harbour Country in Bendigo. The 8th of November is Queer Quiz, out in the open on Friday the 8th of November at Eve's Bar and Cafe. The 10th of November, Queer Cakes and Butch Bakes at Wesley Hill Hall and Market. That's part of Castlemaine Pride. Starts at 11. The 16th of November, Stella Day Out Ballarat. And it's the Stella Book Prize at the Ballarat Mechanics Institute from 1 o'clock on Saturday the 16th. 22nd of November, Arriba! Melbourne Mexican Festival at the Tom's Block in King's Domain. That's just near the big floral clock there in the Royal Botanical Gardens. 24 November, Expression Deaf Festival 2024. That's at Sunshine College. Get your Ausland out for that. 30th of November, Trans Pride Picnic at Treasury Gardens. That starts at 1 o'clock and it's Trans Month. Happy Trans Month to everybody watching. 1st of December, Eureka Sunday Live at the Eureka Stockade Memorial Park. That starts at 1 and that's Shane Howard and the lovely Emma Donovan who will be performing. 6th of December, Beaufort Twilight Christmas Market. That's at Willoughby Street in Beaufort. Starts at 5 o'clock. 25th of December, Cliffy's annual CFA Christmas Day fundraiser at Raglan Street there in Dalesford, and that is a breakfast thing from 8 till 11 Christmas morning. The 9th of March, parade entry, Chill Out Parade 2025, and that you can register at Dalesford Primary School. Back to the studio. Hi, this is the studio. Thanks, Deb.
You're welcome.
That was a great little interview, and thanks for being so open about parts of your life. Really appreciate it.
That's my pleasure.
In amongst all that, though, you did make passing mention excuse me, I'm having a throat thing tonight, about dancing.
Yeah.
What sort of, are we talking, what, jitterbug?
Ballroom.
Ballroom dancing. Love is in the air.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go around.
I'm in that. So is my mum.
Are you in it?
Yeah, kind of. We're talking about Strictly Ballroom, the film,
totally.
right? When we have every year the Victorian Championships, and they're always held at the old entertainment centre in Melbourne, and usually it runs from like 9 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night with a meal break. And the meal break is usually an hour. And after the meal break, where they have the evening session, is the finals and the big la-di-da, right?
It's a long day.
It is a long day, especially for amateurs that are building up. This particular day, we got told that there was a 3-hour meal break. And when we walked in, there were all these extra lights around the floor. We thought, what the hell? And then we start seeing these people thinking, hang on, what's going on? Then Baz Luhrmann walks in, microphone in hand, and gets everybody's attention and tells us what to do. We're making a film, and we're all like, yay, we're finally getting a film made about ballroom dancing. This is awesome. So then they start to do bits of the scenes that they're doing, and we're all like, oh, okay, just following directions. Clap, okay, clap. Yeah, do this, okay, do that, and we get through it. So it was exciting. It was something very different for us. I was competing that day, so I was all dressed up in my gown and everything. But I can pause it on my mum because we had like a box of people watching from the studio, and they had blue.
People like a box of happy worms.
Yeah, they were crammed in like that too. They had blue and white streamers, and in the film they show that, which is really cool. But when the film came out, everybody was up in arms because they're like, "That's not us. We don't do that. We're not like that. Right. No, we're not bitches like that." And it's like, oh God, yes you are. Once they got over the initial, oh hang on, this film's doing really well, maybe we better admit to actually being that way. It's like, oh no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, we were like that.
It's not a cheap hobby either, ballroom dancing, is it?
No, it's not. Latin American was my favourite.
Yeah. That's all the paso doble, the tango.
Rumba, samba.
The rumba where they really stick their bums out.
Yep, cha-cha, paso doble and jive. So there's always 5 dances in Latin.
Why is jiving with Latin American?
Because it's not ballroom, I guess.
Oh, okay, so they had to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Latin was my favourite, and even the Latin dresses that I had over the years, they cost a pretty penny.
Wow.
And the shoes that we went through as well.
Yeah, because everything has to coordinate, isn't it? There's kind of like when you're doing a dance, it's a theme, isn't it? You're not just dancing, it's kind of like...
Well, when you start dancing, you start doing metal work, and it's where throughout, say for 3 months, you go in for your lesson once a week, you get taught routines, and you dance with your teacher. Then at the end of the 3 months, we'll have a medal day where everybody dances 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, and there's a judge sitting there, and the judge will write a report and give you a mark. And so we had those constantly, and that's where we got to wear our dresses and everything. The other side to it is competing, where you go out of the studio, where people come together, like at the Victorian Championships, and they compete against each other. So that's the sort of thing that we did.
Did you get trophies?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, look at you getting all humble. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I did. I did okay.
You did okay. Wow.
Yeah. And I've still got a couple of my outfits at home, and I look at them now and I think, oh my God, how small they are.
You could put them on one of the dolls.
I could.
Just saying. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a major part of my life for almost 20 years. Yeah, and I ended up turning pro, and I taught teenagers, and I had this group of teenagers in one class where they were all 6 foot tall. I'm 5 foot nothing, and they made a flag for me, and they had a yellow flag that said, and with an arrow pointing down saying Deb, because I'd get them in a huddle and we'd be talking about something and I'd be teaching them. No one could see where I was. So they gave me the flag.
Deb, thank you. We do need to wrap it up.
No worries.
You have been an amazing guest, and that's not just because you give me something, a little present. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to Patrick at Channel 31 and to the lovely Dr. Sophie here at this end. Next week, we'll have a man who had a job for 30 years, which is pretty unfathomable in these life and times. He's a dear old friend of mine. I don't mean old in a bad way, but I might. So until next week, thank you. This has been Lands TV, and between now and then, be kind.
Thanks for watching Lands TV. We'll be back same time next week. Lands TV is made possible through funding from the Community Broadcasting Foundation. I'm voiceover guy Randall Smith. See you next time.